Heading into this offseason, the New York Knicks were linked to several All-Stars that they could potentially trade for, but they were linked to two players more than anyone else, Zach LaVine and Karl-Anthony Towns. And now, thanks to recent reports, we may understand why the New York Knicks avoided trading for these two All-Stars. We're going to break down all of this and so much more today. Let's get started. Apparently, the New York Knicks explored trading for Zach LaVine, but according to Fred Katz of The Athletic, those trade talks didn't go anywhere, and that's due to the asking price of the Chicago Bulls. According to Fred Katz, the New York Knicks searched to improve their roster, and that led them to inquire about Zach LaVine with the Chicago Bulls. The New York Knicks did make contact with Chicago regarding a trade for LaVine, but according to Fred Katz, the asking price was giant, and the two sides never got close to making a deal. Now, Zach LaVine and the New York Knicks have been linked since the trade deadline of this past season, so we always knew interest was there. But now we understand that the New York Knicks may have avoided this trade due to Chicago asking for a giant offer. Now, I'm not sure what giant means, but given the reports that were coming out during that time, I'm going to assume that the offer might have been R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, a couple of first-round picks, likely some unprotected and some protected, in order to acquire Zach LaVine from the Chicago Bulls. And a lot of you might say that that price tag is expensive. And if you're saying that, you might be right, because personally for me, I think it is a little bit too expensive. Only because you're adding R.J. Barrett in that deal. I don't know about you, but I would rather watch R.J. Barrett and Zach LaVine play together versus watching those two be traded and then have Zach LaVine on the Knicks and R.J. Barrett be on the Bulls. For me, I just don't want to see that, because I still do believe in R.J. Barrett, and I believe he has a step that he can take in this league. But in regards to Zach LaVine, we're not going to get it twisted here. We understand what he can add to any team he's added to. He's a slasher, he's a scorer, and he can put any team on his back on any given night and score anything you need him to do. Now on defense, he is limited at times. He's not the best defender. He's not terrible, but he's not the best defender. So I can understand why some teams may not want to add him in that regard. But if you're looking for somebody on offense, of course I can understand why the New York Knicks inquired about trading for somebody like Zach LaVine, because you could use somebody of his skill set, especially on what he gives you in terms of offense. However, we kind of knew that the New York Knicks were not looking to add Zach LaVine, but now we understand that the price was sky high, but that's not the only reason. According to Steph Bondy last month, he reported that LaVine and his agent, Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul, have made it clear that they are not interested in a trade to the Knicks, who have a reputation apparently around the league of favoring CAA clients. Where's the lie? Tell me where he's wrong. The New York Knicks have been linked to several CAA clients just due to who their president is in Leon Rose. We have to remember, before he took the role as New York Knicks president, he was a key member of CAA in terms of their basketball division. A lot of Knicks fans hoped that Leon Rose would look to those connections and take advantage of them with regards to trading for stars at some point at his tenure as the New York Knicks president, but he hasn't done that as of yet. And if Zach LaVine was on the table, but the price was giant, I don't blame him from walking away, because if you're asking me, if the price included R.J. Barrett or something significant for Zach LaVine, even though you can make the argument he would help your team get better, especially on offense, I wouldn't do that deal, because I still believe in R.J. Barrett number one, and because a report is already out there stating that his representation doesn't want him in New York, you can figure that even if the New York Knicks gave up a significant asset amount to get Zach LaVine in New York, once his contract expired, you can make the argument that he would probably walk from New York to a different team and he wouldn't re-sign with the New York Knicks. And if you do that, that means you're taking a risk and a gamble with adding somebody like LaVine. Not only is he repped by Rich Paul, so that already causes an issue in regards to the Knicks adding him, But now we hear that the Chicago Bulls want a giant offer in order to pry away Zach LaVine and add him to any team looking to trade for him. If I'm Leon Rose, I'm absolutely doing what he did here. I'm avoiding this trade like the plague. I am not doing it, and I'm not giving up significant assets for a player like Zach LaVine, who might not be happy in New York, and when his contract expires, he might not even want to stay in New York. It's a risk and a gamble, and for New York, it might be a gamble that might not pay off. So I'm very happy that they chose to avoid this trade. A lot of fans have been asking, what are the New York Knicks' current interest level in adding Karl-Anthony Towns via a trade with the Minnesota Timberwolves? Well, thanks to Fred Katz of The Athletic, we also have an answer to this as well too. According to Fred Katz, it's not like Minnesota is trying to tear their team down, but according to league sources who have talked business with them, the Wolves have set a sky-high price on Towns too. Also, according to another league source, in spite of what constant speculation may tell you, the Knicks have not expressed any interest in trading for Karl-Anthony Towns. Now, I don't know about you, but this report warms my heart. I've said this in many videos, and I'll say it again. Karl-Anthony Towns is not the answer for the New York Knicks. For everything he can give you on offense and all the gifts that he can bring to a team, he is not a superstar. And he does not show up like superstars need to when the lights are brightest. But if you're going to have to give up a superstar-like package, a sky-high package in order to get Karl-Anthony Towns on your team, I'm out. I'm not giving up significant assets and gutting the New York Knicks roster and giving up significant assets in order to get Karl-Anthony Towns on the New York Knicks. In my opinion, he doesn't move the needle enough, especially given the amount of assets you're likely going to have to give up if you trade for Karl-Anthony Towns. So the Timberwolves are looking for a sky-high trade package in order to trade Karl-Anthony Towns to another team. That's the first issue with this. And if that's not enough, Karl-Anthony Towns' contract is also an issue. Previous reports have indicated that the Knicks were interested in acquiring Towns, but found his massive salary troublesome. Playing on the final year of his 5-year contract coming up this season, he's also going to be signing a $224 million extension, which kicks in the 2024-2025 season, where he'll start to make $50+ million, and it only goes up from there. So you got to understand, if you trade for Karl-Anthony Towns, you got to accept his contract for one, which is massive. And that means that it's going to limit you in regards to the talent that you can add around Karl-Anthony Towns. That's number one. But then number two, if you're going to add him, you're going to have to give up significant assets as well. If that was the trade and that was the package on the table, I do not blame Leon Rose for walking away. I don't care if Karl-Anthony Towns is CAA. I don't care if Karl-Anthony Towns fits the timeline of the New York Knicks. And I don't care if Karl-Anthony Towns' skill set is what the New York Knicks need, especially from a 5 spot. It doesn't matter to me. If I have to gut my roster in order to get Karl-Anthony Towns, and then I got to pay him $50+ million very, very soon, and that contract only goes up, and it's going to limit the talent that I can add around him, I'm out. And I think that's exactly what Leon Rose saw, and that's why he said he was out. So if he avoided the Karl-Anthony Towns trade for this reason, I absolutely understand it, and I'm happy to hear it. But one of the main things to note from this report from Fred Katz is that the New York Knicks have not expressed any interest at all in trading for Karl-Anthony Towns. That means this offseason, even though a lot of reports have linked Karl-Anthony Towns and the Knicks together, the Knicks have not expressed any interest. They don't want Towns, and you know what? I'm glad, because I don't want him either. Fred Katz gave us some information in regards to why he believes Karl-Anthony Towns has come up so much in regards to being traded to the New York Knicks. According to Fred Katz, Karl-Anthony Towns rumors are flying around only because they are easy. Towns is a CAA client, and was once represented by Knicks president Leon Rose himself, back when Rose ran CAA's basketball division. We know the deal by now. The Knicks go after CAA guys. They did it with Jalen Brunson, Isaiah Hartenstein, Josh Hart, and when they drafted Obi Toppin. They extended Julius Randle. They targeted Mitchell. So people project that every CAA client is going to be somebody that the New York Knicks target. And you can't blame everybody around the league for looking at this. Look who the New York Knicks go after. Look at the players on the New York Knicks roster. It's not a surprise that most of the roster and most of the players that the New York Knicks go after are CAA clients. That's not a surprise. Leon Rose, before he became New York Knicks president, as I said before, was heavily involved in CAA. So it's not a surprise that he targets those particular players. He likes those type of players. So that's why if you're CAA, you're almost always going to be targeted and linked to the New York Knicks. But thankfully, at least we understand now that the cat rumors and the cat reports in regard to him potentially being traded to the New York Knicks are just that. They're rumors. There are no substance behind them because according to Fred Katz, the New York Knicks have not expressed any interest in Karl-Anthony Towns. And you know what, Knicks fans? I could not be happier about hearing this report. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.